Cassie asked me for a quick overview of some of the various things that we've done here in English 4, especially the more complex things where the kids have really been challenged and had lots of different pieces of choice and options to personalize their learning quite a bit. One of the very first things we do in English 4 is design your own coat of arms, and I first built it out in Blindspace, and you can see all of the different things. The assignment actually is here. And they first had to research what the idea of heraldry and what the symbols meant and what they represented. Then they had to choose ones that represented themselves. And of course, we did this the very first week of English 4, where I've got a bunch of new students. And here at Clearview, of course, they come from all over the district. So this is a great way for them to, think about themselves, get to know each other a little bit, talk about different things. And there is a little bit of coloring, but the majority of this assignment is actually research and then pulling those designs together. They then have to write an essay, and this is how I worked in some of our writing. There is an expository essay, which was the standard. Now explain what you have. If you have a red rose, why did you choose it? What does it represent about you? And then there was an advanced option for writing, where students who were looking for a more challenging option could then write a personal narrative showing. So the example I gave is if you chose a black bear to represent grief and strength, now write a personal narrative showing that grief and strength. This is also a tie-in to the college essay, where they're looking for personal narratives and getting to know you pieces and things like that, where the students could write my assignment, but then also just a few tweaks on that, and they would have a beautiful college essay as well, all that relates directly to what we were learning, including some of those little tidbits of British history with the heraldry. So here in the Blindspace, I had introductions and videos and the symbols, their meanings. I had outlines for them, as well as the rubric, all provided here so that they could work on it at any time, any place, so long as they had internet and they could piece it together. We, of course, did quite a bit of it in class with me in a supporting role as we went through it in the introductory role. But there was a lot of initiative shown on the part of the students as well. Their coat of arms, by the way, get laminated and live in the classroom the entire year. They present them at the beginning of the year. It's kind of how we do our getting to know you about a week or so after they join us, so they have a chance to warm up, if you will, to each other. And then they live here in the room, and I give them back the last week of school along with the letter they write to themselves. So it's a fun way to end the year. Not necessarily the next thing, but later on in the year, we did The Art of Persuasion, where we looked at A Modest Proposal, which is a piece of satire from Jonathan Swift about solving population problems by having the poor people eat their babies, which is very famous in the world of British literature, very dry, very dark, and the kids really enjoyed that piece of satire. They didn't enjoy the language necessarily, because it's pretty high language, but they enjoyed the idea. And then what we did is we analyzed it, we read about it. I built this unit page out in its learning. They had to read other people's modern modest proposals, and then they wrote their own modest proposal where they had to come up with a problem in society, and then they had to solve the problem. We solved problems like people paying for things with sweaty money, or people who can't drive, or people who cut you off, or people who don't use turn signals. All kinds of different problems in society that they solved in some absolutely outrageous way, which is the whole idea behind the modest proposal, to shed light on a problem by making people basically think about it. So lots of thinking. They had a guide here and some model text. I wrote them a modest proposal that they could use as a model text, and they had all the steps here about how to solve things, the guidelines on what was required in each paragraph, and then they had an advanced option here as well, where they could really model Swift's writing with that advanced vocabulary, words like melancholy and prodigious and whatnot, where they had up to 10 words, and I would give them some extra credit for that advanced option if they were challenging themselves. And the final step was a metacognitive piece where they could think about, their writing, think about their thinking, and the rubric, of course, was provided to them as well here. And there was some cheat sheets on all the different parts of figurative language. Well, this isn't even all of them, just a handful of common ones, so that they had some of those ideas as well. Another thing that we did a little bit later in the year, we, after speaking with Billy about all of the independent reading and the idea of the Reader's Workshop, I had the students start a reader's notebook, or actually I started it for them, and we went in and pushed it out, so there were models. So they were reading independently. They chose their own books, but every week that we read about 10 minutes per day. They would then go in and they would grab vocabulary words, either words they didn't know or words that were just powerful words, and they would put them here into a collection. And you can see this is Natalie's, although I am able to see everybody's, but you can see she read 1, 2, 3, and then back to 4, or three, I guess, different books in the span of 9 weeks. And as she was reading, she grabbed all the different words, she had to look up the definitions, and then this yellow highlighting is when I went through and graded them. They also grabbed wordplay, which is examples of just meaningful things in the book. So this was a piece of a poem, and you can see her reflection here on why she chose it. Here's another one, just a sentence, but then again, why it stood out to her. Over here on the right, they're the different books that she read. So this is another one. Here at the top is my example that I gave them. So they had a piece of model text here as well, which was good. Some of them grasped the idea of wordplay quickly. Some of them really struggled with this because it is thinking about your reading, which a lot of them are not used to, but it pushed them. And a lot of them, they pushed them a little outside of their comfort zone, but it worked well. They also had to do reading in progress questions. I gave them 10 to start with, and then they would pull, just copy paste the question they wanted, and they'd put it in this chart and then give me some thoughtful answers. So this, again, was thinking about the reading, most dramatic thing you've read, look at the cover, describe the setting. So lots of just reading basics here covered over the books that they have chosen. And then at the end of each week, I would give them a rubric, and that rubric would then, say, give me 2 of your pieces of vocabulary, where they then choose their favorites. Give me 1 of your pieces of wordplay, again, choose your favorite. And they would give me the dates for the things, and I would just go in then, and I can see everybody's notebook over here. So here are all my student notebooks, and I can go into any of them, like here's Sabrina's, and I would go into her vocabulary, and I could just highlight, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is, and give her a daily grade over all the different things. She actually gave me the source of where the definition came from, but same idea. And then here's her wordplay, etc. So then the final thing is at the end of this unit, now at the end of the 9 weeks, our last major grade is going to be from a reader's workshop where they have 23 different project options, and they choose from these options, and here they are worth different points. The more complex projects are worth more points as there's some higher level thinking, so they can design their own advanced stuff. I give them up to 110 on this assignment, 10 extra credit points, although the students can combine any number of projects. So I have students that turn in up to 180 points worth of projects. I still only give them 110, but they challenge themselves. They have the rubric available, and one of the first things we do is choose the project and then actually lay it out over the calendar so that they can plan it, do a little forward thinking, which is still a skill a lot of them are working on even as seniors.